So we'll go into the story. So this story comes in the Bhagavata Purana. It is called Bhavātavi. Bhava means to exist. So Bhavan, so Bhava, it means existence. It also means worldly life. The broader meaning is samsara. That is the ocean of conditioned existence driven by karma and desire. Then Atavi means, it means a dense forest, a jungle. Okay, so Bhavatami means the forest of worldly existence. Okay, now you would be familiar with the story of Bharata. Does anybody remember the story of Bharata?
Yes.
Lina, you remember? Great. So I've told the story on multiple occasions. Bharata, so India, the name, uh, the traditional name, even now, India is called Bharat. That is from a great. So Bharata Varsha means the dynasty of Bharat, and Bharata is the king. He lived long time ago. He was a very enlightened king. He did a great job of ruling. So his glory continues to this day. And he was enlightened. He knew that in order for him to find true peace, he has to get out of this birth death cycle. So when he came to a certain age, he decided, okay, he told his son to take the throne, and he retired to the outskirts of the city, close to the forest, where he had a small hermitage, and he lived there and he meditated to understand his true self. So he would consult with rishis, he would study the scriptures, and he meditated. So this is how he was passing his life. He was meditating 20 hours a day to understand, on some days, to understand his true self. One day, when he was about to sit for meditation in the morning, he saw a lion, because it's on the outskirts of the forest. He saw a lion chasing a deer. So the deer, um, it was pregnant, and when it jumped across the stream, it gave birth as it was jumping, and the baby fell into the water. And then I think the lion loses the chase, or it loses interest, whatever. It didn't want to cross the water. Lions usually don't like water. Tigers are great swimmers, but not lions. So um, the Bharata then goes, and out of compassion, he gets the deer and he feeds it, and he gets attached to the deer. So he was meditating 20 hours a day, then it became 12 hours because all his time went to taking care of the deer. And then he starts getting worried about the deer. Always he'll think, if the deer is not come after a few hours, he'll get worried. Even when he was on his deathbed, the only thing he could think of was the deer. So, and in the Bhagavad Gita it says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tame veti kaunteya sada tatpava bhavitah. Whatever you think at the time of death, that you will become. So if you're intensely thinking of something at the time of death, in your next birth, you will become that. So what happened is Bharata becomes is born as a deer, but no, not an ordinary deer. This deer, because of all the good deeds in his previous life, it had jati smaran, which means the deer could remember its previous birth as Bharata the king. Okay, and this deer instinctively, it would understand people's language, so it hung around all these rishis who were um, who were talking about the Upanishads. So the education of Bharata continued as a deer. Then, due to old age, the deer passes away, and then the deer is reborn as a Brahmin. Brahmin's name, the parents also named him Bharata. But then he gets a nickname. The nickname was Jada Bharata. Jada means inert, because he was just lazy. He was just eating and sleeping. There was nothing. He did absolutely nothing. So he was called inert Bharata or Jada Bharata. Jada means inert. Jada object is inert object. He was always just lazy, and he was just fat, chubby. He was doing literally nothing. Everybody, I mean, they kind of ignored him, because they thought he was born in a Brahmin family, um, but he just did nothing. And the real reason is that he had this little leftover karma, and he was an enlightened person. He knew that ever since his birth, because the karma has to get exhausted, he is born in this human form, so he can exhaust the karma. But very quickly he gets um, mukti, so Jivan mukti. While living, he's liberated, and but he has to continue to live to exhaust the karma. So just he does nothing. He's enlightened, completely, fully enlightened. The story also goes that um, there were a bunch of dacoits. These dacoits are Kali worshippers. So they had the misguided notion that they have to sacrifice animals to gain the power of Kali. And one day they decided, okay, let's up the game. Let's improve the sacrifice. We'll sacrifice a human. So they tried to look for somebody whose absence would not be noticed, and somebody who would be a good offering to Kali. They saw this chubby guy, so they took him. And when they were about to sacrifice, he didn't even protest. When they were about to sacrifice, the idol just broke. Out of that, Kali comes and she kills all the dacoits. How dare you touch an enlightened person? And then she blesses him, and she goes. So that is Jada Bharata. So one day he was lying on the corner of the road, sleeping. And at the time, um, the king was named, the king of that area is called Rahugana. So Rahugana, he was getting ready to visit Kapila. He heard that Rahugana is, what can I say? He was eager to know, but he was not a wise king. Okay. But he had all the eagerness to learn from wise people. So he heard that Kapila, the great sage, was somewhere in the vicinity. So he wanted to go meet Kapila to learn all about Sankhya and the nature of the self. At that time, one of the palanquin bearers, so they carried the kings in palanquins or in carriages. So this time, 4 people were carrying the king in a palanquin, and one of them twisted his ankle or something. He got hurt. So they were trying to find a replacement. It's in the middle of a village, a little far from the king's palace. And they found this chubby guy lying on the side of the road sleeping. So they go and tell him, hey, come and lift the king's carriage. So he goes, and he doesn't say anything. He says, okay, I'll lift the carriage, and he lifts the king's palanquin. And this guy, he's a little shorter than the others. So when he was moving, there was a jerk every time, and his gait was not steady. Like all this chubby guy rolling about and going. And the king got annoyed at these jerks. He said, "You fat guy, why are you not carrying the palanquin properly?" Then Bharata turns and looks at the king, and he says famous verses, "Who are you calling fat? Because I am not fat. I have no shape The body that I inherit is fat. I am beyond all this. I am in the state of constant, the Sat Chit Anandam. I am the state of bliss. I have no shape. Who are you addressing, O king? Then the king realizes, okay, I am talking to an enlightened person. And then the king apologizes. King, at least he had the intelligence to know that this person is intelligent, is enlightened. So then he says, please tell me about the self. And at that time, so Jadabharata begins his discourse, and the he gives an analogy for the how the jiva is confused and gets the wrong identity, just like the king is going to tell that in the end. Okay, so and then he narrates the Bhavātavi, so the forest of worldly existence. Okay, so far, any questions? Lena, Anu, Sumitra?
No questions.
No questions? Okay. All right. So, Bhagavatam means literally the stories of bhakti. Bhagavatas are bhaktas. So, the stories of the devotees. So, it's stories of bhakti from the devotees. And the Bhagavatam is very beautiful. And it using bhakti, it's trying to illustrate some of the subtle concepts through stories. So all these are stories. So these subtle concepts are illustrated through stories. And the most beautiful thing about the Bhagavatam is the meter. It is a lot of it is in Trishtuk meter. And the tune that's also used is so phonetic, so melodious. Um, and if you heard uh, this um, the incident that happened in the Draupadi, she was being, her sari was being taken away by Dushasana, and the time Krishna comes and just makes the sari keep going and going and saves Draupadi's honor. So that one is also Agre Kurunam Ata Pandavanam Dushyasanena Krudavastrakesha. This entire thing is in Trishtuk meter. And Bhagavatam, lot of these uh, verses are in Trishtuk meter. So this is one such, just giving a illustration. We won't do the whole thing. So it says Brahmana Uvacha. So Brahmana refers to Jadabharata. So Brahmana Uvacha. Duratyaye dvanyajaya niveshito rajastamas sattva vibhakta karma drika Sayesha sato tapara pravipraman bhavatavim yati na sharma vindati. So Jadabharata says, my dear King Rahugana, the living entity wanders on the path of the material world, which is very difficult to traverse. Duratyaye, it's Duratya means very difficult to traverse. Um, being captivated by the material world under the influence of Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, Vibhakta, Karma, Drika. So, under the captivated by three modes of the nature, there are three gunas. This living entity can see only the fruits of its activities. And the example gives like a merchant entering a forest to acquire articles for profit. He works very hard day and night, yet he cannot find any real happiness in the material world. So, with that, we will go into the story of Bhavātavi. So, the story starts with a group of merchants who are entering the forest. So, they thought they will find some interesting things in the forest which they can get and then trade it outside for profit. Um, and then the focus zooms in on one particular merchant. He was a really wealthy merchant, As soon as these merchants enter, so the story focuses on one merchant. This merchant is ambushed by six ruthless robbers. So later I'll ask you what's the symbolism of all the merchant robbers, everything. Six ruthless robbers. And remember there are five. So you can see there are five. This is the head robber, and there are five others, and they're very ruthless. They strip him of his most valuable. They take a lot of things from him, but they strip him of his most valuable possession. And what is the most valuable possession in a forest? What do you think would be the most valuable possession? Anybody wants to take a guess?
Light?
So there is some light
Okay.
in the forest. So in the forest you can get lost, right? So it's the navigation. He has
Navigation.
a magical navigation stone, and that they're stripping him off. Then wandering deeper into the forest, the merchant without the navigation stone loses the path, and he becomes entangled in dense thickets of creepers, bushes, and grass. And not only that, he is constantly attacked by mosquitoes and flies. It's so frustrating for him. And then he's just totally frustrated. And at that time, he sees in the sky a beautiful Gandharvapura. So he's totally frustrated. Just when he's totally frustrated, he sees this Gandharvapura. He's just so attracted with the musical. Gandharvas are celestials. So he's hears divine music coming from this Gandharvapura, the city of the celestial musicians. He's drawn towards us, hoping he can find happiness there because he's been through bushes, stung by mosquitoes, flies. It looks incredibly substantial, like a real destination where one could find shelter, comfort, luxury. He runs towards it. Then the wind blows, and the entire the scenic light and everything is gone. The city dissolved into mere vapor in seconds. It never existed as a solid object. It was a mirage. So, and in that evening, in the sunset, he sees a mirage, and he thinks it was a actual um, palace. Finally, he somehow manages to find his way back to the forest path. So he continues walking, and then what do you think happens next? So he continues walking. Anybody wants to guess?
Did he walk out of the forest?
Not yet. And as he's walking, of course, he finds he meets a beautiful woman. The beautiful woman is the daughter of the king of the forest. That's what she says. And she lures him with promises of pleasure, comfort, and family life, leading him away from the path he was traveling on and further into the tangled wilderness. He travels with her, he endures the scorching heat. Okay, I mean, there were paths which were like very hot. Then at some places it was cold. He endures extreme cold. And then in some places it was just raining non-stop, torrential rains. He tries to find solace in temporary pleasures, like climbing a small hill to get a better view. But when he's climbing the hill, his feet would get pricked by thorns and sharp stones, causing him even more pain. Then at one point, he's being chased by wolves, and he totally loses the direction. All he needs to do is to look up, but he's not looking up to see the sun where east is and all that and get a sense of direction. He's not doing that. He's just going about without looking up. And so if he is able to know what direction is this, at least if he keeps walking in one direction, he can get out of the forest. but he seems to be going in circles. And he notices something strange. He feels that somebody is stalking him. And when he turns back, he sees a lion. The lion is always, it's gaining on him, but it's not attacked him. It's always behind the bush, but the distance is decreasing. It's coming closer and closer. Okay. So the lion is stalking him closer and closer. So at this point, Jada Bharata stops and he concludes the narration to King Rahugana, and he then reveals the profound meaning. But he's so the chapter that goes on like this. The next chapter is when Jada explains the symbolism. So, who do you think is the merchant? Q&A. Anybody? Anu, Sumitra, Lena?
We are the merchant.
We are the Jivas. We are the merchant. Jiva and the merchants are the hosts of Jivas that are born. Entering the forest is symbolic with entering this world. Okay. Who are the five robbers? So we saw the five robbers, right? Who are they? Anybody? Anu, you want to guess?
The kleshas
Um,
or the senses?
yes, these are the five senses. They rob a person of the discrimination. So, and who's the king of the five robbers?
The manas?
That's right. The mind is considered the king of the five senses. And the senses, they indriyanim hicharatan yan mano anuvidiyate tadasya harati prajnam vayurnavamivambasai. So, like wind can make uh, a boat drift away, like that the senses indriyani hi charatam, whatever the mind focuses its attention on, that it can just it snatches the mind away. It and because of that, you harati prajnam, your wisdom is gone. So, and what is the navigation stone signify?
Buddhi or
Buddhi, yes, it is the buddhi,
intellect?
the intellect. Yeah, intellect is what gives the wisdom, right? That so um it is taken away by the robbers, and then he is caught in the creepers. So, what are the mosquitoes? Anybody?
Or the klesha.
Yeah, kleshas are deep imprints. Mosquitoes just represent the petty disturbances that rob one of our peace in life. And the creepers are interesting. What do you think the creepers are? See how complex it is. It's like a maze, like a web. What do you think the creeper is? Anybody? Any guess? I've already given a clue. It's like a complex maze, like a web is gotten caught in the creepers.
Vasanas or
It is, yeah, it's karma, essentially.
karma?
Complex web of karma and material activities. So when we act, we create karma. So it's like a complex web. It's just like growing and deforming. All those are happening. Then what does the Gandharva Pura represent? Anybody?
Raga Dvesha, or like the binding desires?
So the Gandharva Pura actually represents material success and fame that
So
quickly fades away.
Arthakama, so Purusharthas.
Yeah, these they represent the intransitory nature, or the transitory nature of material success and fame. So all
Okay.
these things that we crave for, they're very transient. Ehi samsparshaja bhogaha, these pleasures comes with success and fame. Dukkayonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya, they have a beginning and an end. Nate shuramate buddha, the wise don't relish in them. Okay, it's good, but I won't get too attached to that. And then, who is this beautiful woman? In the previous story, it was the intellect, but we've already seen it's not the intellect here.
Ahankara, the I-ness.
No, so here
Oh.
the woman represents Maya. So it's the powerful illusion of worldly desire. So she makes promises, see, that she will give him a lot of happiness, family, all that. So she represents Maya. This is the delusory nature of worldly desire. Then what do this scorching heat, the cold, and the torrential rains tell? What do they signify? What are they symbolic of?
I'm going to take a guess. The three
Yeah,
gunas?
yeah. No, it's this is, so the gunas need not be like tormenting. Here
Huh.
it's tormenting him. So it is tapatrayam, the threefold fires or the threefold sources of misery. The threefold dukkha are adhyatmika dukkha, those that are
Oh,
self-created. Adibhautika dukkha. So there's from other beings, other people, animals. Then there is something which you can't control. Suddenly, earthquake occurs. Adi Devika. It's like destiny, divine. It's which we are. It's not self-induced. It's not induced by other people or animals. It is Adi Devika Dukkha. So these are the tapatrayam, the threefold. Tapam literally means fire or heat. It's a threefold fires that sources of misery that torment us. And what do the wolves represent? Wolves chase him, right? The wolves actually represent family demands. And then finally, the lion. This you should be able to guess. The lion is coming closer and closer. It's not pounced on him. Just it's always there. I think you should be able to answer this.
Pralaya, death, or body
So yeah,
harm?
it's not pralaya. It's not pralaya. Um,
I've
you're
been
saying
I'm
death.
gonna stop guessing.
You're saying death. Close. It's kala, time. So your time, it's getting near. Death is coming closer. Yeah, time or death, whatever, they're kind of synonymous. It's not pounced, but it's coming closer and closer. So um, those are the analogies. And finally, all he needs to do, the king, is to look up at the sun. The sun represents Ishvara, or you can say Atma, one's own. So the only guiding thing in your life, only permanent thing, is the Atma. That is the real you. Once you know that is the nature, and you depend on the thing that is permanent, then you will be safe. If you rely on any of the other things, see, all the palace, it's gone. Everything is transitory. So that is what he is trying to say. And so uh, he finishes this with a few um, verses. Nahyeshu Rajar Rishishu Kashchidenam Pantanamasadya Vijitya Shatrun Ekasvayam Chatmani Sannivishtas Tasyopa Shantya Upatasya Atma. Among all these royal sages, none could truly conquer this path of the forest and its enemies except by becoming solitary. Solitary here doesn't mean going alone, means leaning only on the yourself. That is fixing the mind on the Atma, not on all these glamours of the world, and achieving that peace through which the Atma is realized. So that, and finally, he says, "O King Rahugana, you're also the victim. You are like that merchant." So uh, Jadabharata says, "My dear king, you are that merchant. This material world is the forest. Your mind and senses are the instruments of your Sukshma Shariram, or the robbers that have plundered your spiritual wisdom. You are captivated by the illusion of material happiness, which is nothing but a mirage. You are wandering aimlessly, suffering miseries, because you have forgotten your true nature as the pristine Atma, and you have identified with the wandering Sukshma Shariram. O king, wake up from this dream. Take up the sword of knowledge, sharpened by service to the wise, and cut through the knots of attachment. Cross over this dangerous forest of samsara and realize your true nature as eternal Atma." So that is how the story ends. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.